Hey folks, how you all doing? This is Con Ulrich coming to you with an update video in reference to Skyshine's Bedlam Redux, or Redo. Actually, as a kid I always thought it was Redux, but yeah, Redo. So, Skyshine's Bedlam, a series of videos we came out with a little while ago, has been updating slowly for the past several months. And now the game designers, as you can see down here, versus Evil Skyshine, and I cannot read this thing over here, which is a Banner Saga engine, there we go, have now put out almost entirely completely new game. Just with all of the new content and all the new versions of things. As you can see here already, now there are already like an arcade version, but in the campaign. But it says the campaign now, what you're supposed to do is transport passengers to Aztec City, pick up relics so you can get inside Aztec City, and also then stop Viscera. So it makes the thing really quite long. As you can see here, we have this entirely new, massive setup. So passengers, you can actually get a leader now, which is kind of cool because you can go and pick who you want to have, how many different kind of troops. So instead of just having a bunch of rookies, you can take a leader, you can take a little bit of veterancy, you can take lots of vets and no rookies, lots of vets and rookies but no leader. I think what we'll do to give you guys a little bit of a taste of everything is check out the whole leader thing. As you can see here, of course, you guys actually get to select what kind of faction you do. So, okay, for example, rush longer distances every third turn, heal every other turn, rely on the wits to succeed, tune the weapons, and stealth, and visible every third turn. Like, some of these things are ridiculously OP. In my mind, I'm going to use probably toxic biology of mutants. It does make them, I think, if I remember correctly, a little bit weaker, but that's okay. The dozers, at the same time, you have to go and actually unlock all of these particular things. So you see, like, complete 4 arcade runs, defeat Cyborg Viscera, Mutant Viscera, Marauder Viscera, and this is just kind of like the, the regular Joes. What I am going to do, like I said, use that right there, take the leader so you guys can kind of see what that goes on with that, and just say let's go normal. This is not going to be a full run, mostly because that would just take us forever in a day. At the same time, so insight what's going on over here too. Like I said before, now we have the mechanic. This dude who was here the entire time before now does have his own particular character in combat. You have all your random Joes otherwise. And we're just going to jump right back into things and get you guys a couple of battles so you can kind of see what goes on in terms of the threat levels of this whole thing down here and kind of go from there. And as opposed to just kind of showing you guys a bunch of the side missions, I will just kind of jump into a battle so you guys can kind of see how that's changed up a little bit. And also this whole threat level thing down here too. They've been making a big deal recently about how your choices now matter in terms of what goes on. So here we go. We have all our troops now. We can still, as always, add and subtract people as we see fit. Put the Deadeye back in there. And let's bring him along a frontliner instead. So this is low in the first place, so it's going to be us versus mutants. And yeah, we should be pretty much all set. So of course I gave you the whole thing again, like, okay, here's the tutorial, still exactly the same thing. So this is the mechanic now. The way the original interface worked is that you could only move 2 characters, 1 action each, or move the same character twice. Now, in this particular case, everybody gets 2 actions, which adds a nice little level to it, but at the same time kind of adds in a little bit of a hiccup, I have to say, in my mind. Excuse me. That being said, I'm just going to kind of move you up a little bit. And see now how originally I could have used a much more damaging attack, but once you move, you actually forfeit a lot of damage. So in this particular case, there's Mechanic doing his stuff. Of course we have our, not Deadeye, what's the term I'm looking for, Trencher, and we have our Gunslingers as well. And the Gunslinger can probably move up here and do a lot of damage to take out this last bro. I think that's exactly what we're going to do as well. Now, the only problem with the Gunslingers over here is that Gunslingers now still have an updated version of Return Fire, which is great if you actually have to return fire, but lousy if you're trying to escape fire. You can see here at the same time, too, the interface has been updated to show defense, all kind of good stuff like that, and I think actually our Trencher, we're going to just hide behind the Mechanic or the Gunslinger. And you know what? Just shift forward. He's probably gonna run, and he'll probably take a shot. Yep. And now since I actually have a what you call it, as you can see there, the updation. Now I have 8 mutants though, which is kind of cool. You actually have all these different kinds of crew members instead. Your entire play really is a different style altogether. So see, he's underestimated your strength, so that the threat level is now increased. I don't necessarily know exactly how it is to decrease particular threat levels, but that's really not important to me right now, is it? I just wanted to jump into another combat real quick to kind of show you guys that another thing they've been doing with the updates is that they're trying to give you some new kind of, let's say, troop composition to face off against. It wasn't normal that for Viscera back in the early days that you would just kind of have exactly the same dude consistently. You would just fight all of what kind of faction, no matter what it was. It was, all mutants, all marauders, all cyborgs, all, rogue AI, all that kind of stuff. Also, now I'm going to note too, you see how before, when we moved the mechanic, he went from 8 down to 5. Well, that's the whole thing I was talking about with if you keep somebody standing still and take a shot. Oh, he's behind cover, so he takes a lot less damage. You do way more damage. And I'd hesitate to be really kind of crude about it, but you way more damage. But when you attack, it takes away both of your attack points at the same time. Which, frankly, I kind of like that feature. It's a little bit more unique in my mind. Move troops up. So one of the things I do want to mention also the fact too is that what are they called now? Jeez, I can't remember their actual name, but the physical guys over here, the kind of like head smashy shield dudes, do more to have a small chance of doing a tons of damage, which is kind of great, although it's a little bit inconsistent. That's nice. Now let me move somebody else. There we go. So I don't know exactly, I haven't played through an entire level now, an entire playthrough of when threat level can actually be decreased. But it's worth knowing now that it kind of determines whether or not you get to move up in the different kind of levels of military combat, which is, in my mind, it's actually kind of nice. It actually kind of speeds things up a little bit, as opposed to arbitrarily being like, okay, we can move 7 destinations while your troops are completely and totally ready for 18 guys attacking you. Which is kind of like, well, how am I supposed to handle that? And many cases, you really can't. Now, these things, which before had been equalizers, are now the campaign objectives. So it kind of increases the length of the game, but at the same time doesn't necessarily increase the difficulty. As long as, the game itself is really not any different in terms of difficulty. And we're just gonna have to go through this again. Frontliner, that's what their names are. Ah, jeez, how did I forget that? I can never remember how much move. Let's go. Let's just be 2 frontliners. But the entire campaign setup definitely goes and shifts along. So it actually kind of forces you to move through most of Bedlam as opposed to before, when your entire goal was to bolt as quickly as possible through Bedlam. I will say some of the character sprites are still not the most gorgeous, but you kind of just deal with it. Let's move our troops up here, and just gonna get in position to kind of destroy him. Also, I will notice that it becomes a little bit easier to actually pick up weapons, as well as some of the particular some of the weapons themselves are actually kind of a little bit less effective in my mind. I might be wrong on that one, but they feel just a little bit less good. So I just want to show you guys a another small bit, which kind of just pick up the campaign objective. So I was going to rush through that real quick. I will say that the changes that they made to this game over the last several months have definitely been for the better. And for some reason, they decide to actually screw us with another battle already. But you know what? Battles are always worth having, especially with this kind of game. What I was trying to say is that the game itself, it does kind of play a little bit smoother now. It's not the most... It still has its flaws. It really does. Sometimes, and this is some of the new sprites that I was talking about before, it doesn't always run as perfect as it might need to really be kind of completely engaging. But the game itself really is still quite solid and has been getting better all the time. And I don't think this is even the final version of this game. And I'm kind of tempted to kind of throw down some of these weapons or equalizers. But at the same time, there's really no point to doing that, you know? It's just kind of... the early battles really don't require you to be too tactically apt. It's like, okay, take cover occasionally, it's probably a good idea. But not really that surprising. I have noticed that, honestly, most characters act exactly the same way they did in pretty much the alpha version of the game. But okay, we're going to pick up this campaign objective real quick. And then from there, I'm actually going to call this video quits for the time being. If you guys do want to see more of Skyshine's Bedlam, let me know. I'll be happy to run this game again for you guys. You can see a lot more of the new events and the news, everything's really. So, here we go. Sucked up by that one, bring her in. I do like the fact now, one thing I admit I do miss about the original game is the original game allowed you to bring 6 people along, but for everybody over 4, you lost a 2 times multiplier for either meat or crude. However, as you can see here, the new guys coming in still pretty much conform to the uniques that you had before, and your own guys seem to be a little bit more balanced. Actually, this might be a perfect opportunity for me to go and... Okay, I have to wait a turn. I'm gonna have to wait a turn to do that. I'm gonna click my troops instead. Just end my turn. I will admit, honestly, that these guys are quite tough still. And using an equalizer doesn't actually take away your turn, which is a little bit weird in my mind. I think that might need to be balanced a little bit more. I guess as of right now, I really don't feel too particularly nervous about this. It's like, okay, well, you know, it's hard, sorta, at the second. But it's really not that bad. That said, these guys still are quite durable, as you can see. Which does lead to its own particular challenges, let's say. But as you guys might be able to assess on your own, in my mind, I still think that Skyshine's distillery is a little bit OP. I will say the fact that they have only allowing you to basically use it once per map does even things up a little bit. And to kind of show you, just to be honest, that it's still possible to lose troops. Now, the whole rush thing I still don't quite understand, but I think it's just similar to something that happened the last time with a particular game, where they get to move a little bit more often than anything else. So yes, blah blah blah, maps. So another thing too, I'm pretty sure that it works like this. So what is supposed to happen is you go from low, and the first time you defeat someone to pick up a relic, you actually move up to each particular one. So now we're in guarded, the second one's going to move us into elevated, the third one's going to move us into severe, and the last one's to bedlam. Like I said to you before, I haven't gotten down here to the boss battle, so I couldn't necessarily tell you how crazy that particular battle is. But all in all, I mean, the game itself does play rather much more smoothly in my mind. I like the idea of being able to kind of pick your crew. I like the idea of actually being able to modify your dozer a lot more. Maybe not aesthetically, but at the same time, you can pick up more different kinds of armaments now. You can pretty much choose what you want to do in the beginning. And it's definitely also worth noting that, well, the game's not completely done yet. They're still actually making changes to it. So I like the original game. I love how this game has been revamped. It's definitely a lot of material to kind of cover. If you want to, I will actually post a link in the description for this video to an article written by, I think, PC Gamer. That kind of gives you a little bit more of the vague changes that are going on in this game. But that being said, if you want to see more of this video, comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, let me know. I'll be happy to run it again for you guys. And thanks so much for tuning into the Too Long Didn't Read update video for Skyshine's Bedlam. I'll see you guys all soon. This is Connor signing off. Take it easy.